The walls of the Venetian court glow in candy pink, bright blue, and seafoam green. To any tourist, this looks like a whimsical Italian movie set. A coastal paradise, where homes sell for over $5 million. But look closer at the foundation of this success. The man who poured the concrete for these structures died penniless. He would have detested these colors. In his mind, these buildings were supposed to be serious, muted, and exclusive. This is the story of a cursed millionaire, a rotting monument to ego, and a rogue paint job that defied an empire. How does a failed, somber development become a Technicolor icon? It started with a vision of high-class Mediterranean architecture, but the reality shifted when the money ran out. The higher the ambition, the deeper the collapse. Before the vibrant paint arrived, there was only a hollowed-out ruin. The mystery of these houses is not in the architecture itself, but in the act of rebellion that saved them from history's scrap heap. Something went wrong, and in that failure, a new town was born. In 1919, Henry Allen Rispin arrived in Capitola with the swagger of a man who owned the future. He bought the entire town, determined to forge the Riviera of the New World. He was the Gatsby of Santa Cruz, a man fueled by endless cash and a god complex that saw no horizon he could not conquer. Rispin demanded absolute order. He envisions serious, muted Mediterranean architecture, stucco walls and terracotta tiles, strictly high class. To oversee his dominion, he built a 22-room mansion up the river. It was an ego monument, a fortress of influence, where he hosted lavish parties for investors looking down from the heights at his creation. He curated every detail, ensuring the development reflected his own unyielding standards. Every brick laid was a statement of his permanence. He moved through the construction sites with a notebook, adjusting plans and demanding faster progress. He was building an empire meant to last for centuries, completely unaware that the foundation was already beginning to fracture under the weight of his own unchecked ambition. Then the market collapsed in 1929. The descent was not slow, it was a vertical drop. Rispin's fortune evaporated as quickly as steam from a kettle. His lines of credit vanished, and the investors who once toasted to his vision stopped answering his calls. The bank didn't wait. They moved in with ledgers and locks, seizing the town, the construction equipment, and the 22-room mansion itself. He was evicted from the very monument he built to secure his legacy. The man who owned a town suddenly owned nothing. He died in total obscurity, penniless and forgotten, while his grand estate began its long slide into decay. The mansion, once filled with the hum of high society chatter, went silent. The roof began to sag. Weeds pushed through the cracks in the stone walkways. Graffiti stained the stucco walls, and fire charred the interior frames. It became a hollowed-out shell, a rotting skeleton of an ambition that had aimed for the stars and hit the mud. The silence in those ruined halls was absolute, broken only by the wind moving through broken windows. Decades passed, and the Venetian court sat in dusty, beige silence, a reminder of a vision that had failed. Then, a local resident returned from a trip to Biurano, Italy. She walked up to her unit, stared at the drab, muted facade, and picked up a brush. She did not ask for permission. She dipped the bristles into a bucket of vibrant, hot pink paint and began to cover the surface. It was a direct visual rejection of Rispin's strict, somber aesthetic. The first stroke was a shock to the street. Her neighbors watched from their windows, initially stunned by the audacity of the change, but the hesitation lasted only an hour. One by one, they stepped outside with their own buckets. A man 2 doors down grabbed a deep blue, another chose a bright, sun-drenched yellow. Soon, the entire row erupted in mint green, coral, and violet. The transformation was chaotic, unauthorized, and loud. It turned a graveyard of failed ambition into a living, Technicolor paradise. This spontaneous act of rebellion stopped tourists in their tracks. It put the town on the map, forced a rewrite of local history, and elevated the property from forgotten wreckage into a celebrated historic landmark. The irony is now etched into the coastline. Henry Allen Rispin poured his life, his fortune, and his ego into building a serious elite resort, yet that ambition rotted into the earth, leaving behind only a hollow, charred skeleton on the hill. He wanted a monument to his own success, but he left behind a cautionary tale of bankruptcy and decay. Meanwhile, the very project he deemed a failure, the Venetian court, thrives as a Technicolor landmark. Those vibrant, unauthorized colors, now define the town he once tried to command. It is a strange, permanent reversal of fortune. The man who demanded control ended up with nothing, while the residents who broke his rules created something far more valuable than his original, muted vision ever could have been. Today, tourists walk past the bright, candy-colored facade, oblivious to the fact that this world-famous aesthetic began as an act of defiance against a ghost. Property values climb into the millions, fueled by a history that was never supposed to happen. It serves as a final, quiet reminder that the most enduring legacies are rarely the ones we plan. Sometimes, the best history is simply the result of someone picking up a brush and deciding to change the view. Subscribe to Sprout Crew for more interesting videos.